But underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of it is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.
And in some cases, women, mostly men, walking around without legs, without arms, with a face that's been blown to smithereens. It's Soleimani, 95%, 96.2 they say or something. 95%. That was Soleimani did it. Happened to come from Iran, and I blew him up. You remember that? I blew him up in the Valley of Death. He got off his plane, and we followed him. And in all fairness, because they've been wonderful to me, Israel, but they didn't want to do that attack. They were all set the night before the attack. They informed me they didn't want to do it, so I had to make a decision. I made the decision to do it. But it was a joint venture, as we say in the real estate business. That was a joint venture between Israel and us. We studied it for a month. We knew what plane he was going to be on almost a month before. He only traveled on commercial airliners, big ones with lots of people, because he knew we wouldn't shoot him down. He's very smart. But we knew he was going to be on that plane. We followed him. And then Israel informed me that they won't do it. And I had to make a decision. I had some very good generals, and not the ones you see on television, very good. And I want to thank also Pete Hegseth and General Raisin Kane, who's phenomenal. Okay, these guys are phenomenal. They can't be better. But I had some good generals, and I said to them, well, if Israel's not going to do it, we're all prepared. Do we do it? Do you like doing it or not? He said, sir, if you want to do it, we can do it. How well? We'll do it just as well or better. We can do it ourselves. We don't need anybody. So we took out Soleimani. One of the biggest events to happen in the Middle East, maybe ever, but they say 50 years, they say 100 years. I was with the Prime Minister of Pakistan. He said it's maybe the biggest event that has ever taken place. Nobody could believe it. So that's when it started. It didn't start like 3 or 4 or 5 weeks ago.
There's some element to this where you send the vice president. If it works out, great, you look like a genius for sending him. And if it doesn't work out, it's the vice president's fault.
I like that idea, sure. What? This way, if it works out, I'm going to take the credit. If it doesn't work out, I'm blaming JD. You better be careful, JD. He's going to turn his plane around and get the hell out of here. Yeah, I like that idea. I think it's a good idea. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. But I'm proud of Space Force because I started it. We have Space Force cameras on every single door, well, there are no doors. They've been pretty well shattered. But every area of that, if somebody walks in and he's got a badge with his name on it, like Mohammed something, which is about a 50-50 guess, Mohammed something. They can tell the name. They can give you a serial number. We can see things you wouldn't believe, the quality of the stuff that we have. That's why we've been so successful. That's why our blockade will go down in the annals of history as being unbelievable. Nobody's ever seen a blockade like that. It's like a steel wall.
How patriotic are Americans feeling this morning? With us now, CNN chief data analyst.
We will always remember Lexington and Concord, people. We will always remember it here on CNC.
Patriots Day versus the 4th. We know which one is more important. But the meaning of the 4th, when we ask voters about this, what do most of them say at this point?
This, to me, is one of the most stunning divides that we have seen. You know, we're talking about polarization in politics. It even comes down to what you believe July 4th actually is. Like, what does July 4th mean to you? Celebrate America, friends and family time. Among Republicans, what do you see? You see the clear majority say it's a time to celebrate America, 65%. Among Democrats, however, the plurality disagree. Look at that. What do you see? Friends and family time at 42% versus just 24% who say that what it means most for them is to celebrate America. So even on the basic question of what July 4th means to you, we have Republicans on one end saying celebrate America, more of them say that, and Democrats on the other end saying that it means more to them to have time with friends and family.
What do they say about the flag?
Yeah, okay, so What do they say about the flag? Even on the basic level of flag, look at this. Look at how we have an increasing polarization on this issue. We'll display the flag on July 4th, the American flag. Back in July of 2001, look at this. You had 68% of Republicans, 65% of Democrats saying that they would, in fact, display the flag on July 4th. You come over to this side of the screen, Republicans basically are where they were 25 years ago, right? 64%. But look at that Democratic percentage, absolutely plummeting. Just 27% of Democrats say they will, in fact, display the flag on July 4th. Democrats and Republicans in different camps, even on the simple question of displaying the flag on July 4th, a polarization, a split that, simply put, did not exist a generation ago.
What about the sloganeering about proud to be an American?
Okay, what about this idea? Are you proud to be an American? Extremely or very proud to be an American? Again, look at this divide, a growing divide on this question. Back in January of 2001, 90% of Republicans, 85% of Democrats. This was after a very contentious 2000 election, keep in mind, right, with George W. Bush coming into the White House. You come over to this side of the screen in 2026. Look at this. Again, the Democratic percentage absolutely plummets to just 29% of Democrats say they're extremely or very proud to be an American. That Republican percentage, the exact same, 90 and 90. The Democratic percentage, what is that? That's basically a third of the level that it was just 25 years ago.
I think you're right to point.
Good partner. Again, I think they could do better with respect to Hezbollah. I'm not saying they shouldn't protect themselves. I'm saying when two drones are shot into the desert and drop harmlessly, you don't have to knock down buildings in Beirut. They could behave better. And frankly, they could do a better job. I love them as a partner. They were terrific. But they could do a much better job with Hezbollah. On that, I don't think they're doing well. And I feel very bad for Lebanon. Lebanon's been, it was a great culture. They had the professors, the doctors, the lawyers. It was an incredible culture, maybe the highest in the Middle East for years and years, centuries. And for the last 50, 60 years, they have been just trashed. They have been living in hell.
Is the text of the agreement now final, or are you still...
No, it's not final. It's a memorandum of understanding. And if I don't like it, we'll go back to shooting at them, dropping bombs on their head.
When do you expect the wording?
If I don't like it, if they don't behave, we'll go right back to dropping bombs right smack in the middle of their head. Okay? Because they've misbehaved for 47 years. All right?
Does it include...
But nobody could have made this deal. I mean, the JCPOA done by Obama, he handed him $1.7 billion in cash, gave him hundreds of millions of dollars, gave him billions and billions of dollars, but he gave him $1.7 billion in cash, green cash from banks, into a Boeing 757 and flew it into Iran. And they stood at the plane. I have pictures of it, like, oh my God, look at this money he's giving us. He tried to bribe his way out. I didn't do that. Nobody mentions that. $1.7 billion and hundreds of millions of dollars. They tried to bribe their way out of it. And you know what the Iranians did? They laughed at Obama and they said he's a stupid son of a bitch.
All right, Wednesday night, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing good. As always, be blessed in the mighty name of Jesus. Let me say hey to all my brothers and my sisters in the chat. Let me see here. Let me get down there. Okay, I'm at the bottom. All right, Aggravain is on. K4. VMS is on. Auntie Mama's on. Guitar Glenn is on. Jules, 21 Hours is on. Robin Roney is on. Big Jim Go Blue is on. K4, VMS is on. Peg McGroin is on. Ever Eden is on. Let me see here. Scrolling down. Ever Eden is on. Captain Cliff is on. Granite 24, 68 is on. Patrina C is on. Luann 5 is on. Deb Powell 50 is on. Tim L. T-Bird is on. Let me see here. Auntie Mama is on. The one and only Release the Hog is on. Let me see. Les Cruz Brown is on. Gloyd Shaw is on. Uncle Wally is on. Scrolling down. Charlie 340 is on. USA. Abby Girl is on. Jeannie Malfeasy is on. Be well in Jesus' name. Be well in Jesus' name. Let me see here. Petey Frank is on. Biggie 926 is on. Arcadia Angel is on. Beat Child is on. Keeper 1376 is on. Let me see. Douglas Tina is on. Let me see here. You guys give me names. It's like Magdalene DeMarco, something like that. Love you. Sorry if I butchered your name. Let me see. From Free Lumbee is on. Lisa Kinzer is on. Scrolling down. Let me see. Grab a couple more. Dana 50 is on. Let me see here. Graybeard is on. DC 941 is on. Confederate 1 is on. Steph Toms is on. Scrolling down. No, I can't get to the bottom. I started at the bottom. No, I can't get there. Here we go. Scrolling down here. Motorcycle is on. Let me grab one or two more and we'll get rolling here. Let me see here. One or two I haven't seen yet. Queen Isabel 1 is on. She announced Queen is on. All right. King. Oh, we got the Queen and King. We got Queen Isabel and King Slutsy McGroin is on. Awesome. All right. Let me see here. Anyone I haven't seen? Aphrodite's. There's one I haven't seen yet. All right. Want to congratulate Aaron and Will and everybody watching right now. Almost 300 people watching. 295 people watching right now. The 14-point memorandum of understanding with Iran has been released. Where's all the applause? All right, so it's been released. So let's go over it. All right, and everybody, all the people that Trump has been cozying up with over the last, 111 days of the 4-day war, they're all now turning on him. People like me have already turned on him, but we've all turned on him for different reasons. Ben Shapiro has turned, I'm going to play his video next. Ben Shapiro has turned on him because Trump has stopped the war. I turned on him because he started the war. And then you have the sycophantic morons like Sean Ferris, and Jack Posobiec is actually calling for Trump to win a Nobel Peace Prize for this deal. So you have all these different camps. You've got MAGA split in half with people like me, probably people like you, and then you have the sycophantical morons like Cat Turd and Sean Farish and Gunther Eagleman and Benny Johnson, all the rest of them calling for Trump to win a Nobel Peace Prize for opening the Strait of Hormuz. You have Gunther Eagleman celebrating the Strait of Hormuz being opened that was already open before the war. All right, so it's literally like, again, celebrating. Somebody hands you $100, all right, that in you a minute ago you lost $100. Someone hands you $100. You didn't gain $100. You just lost $100 and someone handed you $100. You didn't gain $100. It's nice that you got it back, but you didn't gain a freaking thing. And in a war, call me if I'm crazy. I got a former warrior in here. Somebody fought in a war. Will, call me crazy, but shouldn't you want to gain something if you're actually going to spend $2 billion a day on a war and lose 13 American soldiers in a war? And countless civilians that have been basically flame-throwed into non-existence with our bombs. All right, so 14-point MOU with Iran. Key terms to include. This is from the Kabisi letter. The U.S., Iran, and their allies agree immediately and permanently to end military operations on all fronts, including Lebanon. How's that possible when Iran hasn't seen this yet? I mean, not Iran, Israel. They haven't seen this yet. So how can the U.S. and its allies, and that's rather a general statement, is it not? Because the only quote unquote ally in this war with us was Israel. So our allies, meaning who? So shouldn't that read the U.S., Iran, and their allies, and for us, ally? And we all know that Israel is not going to stop bombing Lebanon. They haven't even agreed to this. So how can we agree for Israel when they haven't agreed? Does everybody see how convoluted this crap is? I'm like, this is not what I voted for. That's not what I voted for. I did not vote for convoluted crap when you have Donald Trump and J.D. Vance prancing around saying that they've got a deal guaranteeing that Israel will no longer bomb Lebanon when Israel is publicly saying they haven't agreed to the deal. Does that make sense, sir? Yeah. Can you make that make sense?
No.
Okay. All right. The U.S. and Iran agreed, number 2. You're going to do all 14? Yep. The U.S. and Iran agreed to respect each other's sovereignty. What does that even freaking mean? And territorial integrity, and not interfere in each other's internal affairs. The U.S. and Iran commit to negotiating and reaching a final deal within 60 days unless mutually extended. All right, again, that's going to be for the nuclear material. Okay, so we went in there to get the nuclear material, and now we're ending the war without the nuclear material, but we're going to talk about it for 60 days. Will's laughing. Numero 4, quattro. The U.S. will begin removing its naval blockade immediately and fully end the blockade within 30 days. Iran will use its best efforts, Aaron, their best efforts.
Of course.
And you can always trust the mullahs. To ensure safe passage for commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days with no change. With no charge for 60 days, no charge. All right. The U.S. and regional partners will develop, and here's the coup de grace. Coup de grace. The U.S. and regional partners will develop a mutually agreed upon plan of at least $300 billion for Iran's reconstruction and economic development.
Awesome.
So Hussein Obama, who I can't stand, and Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, Will, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't vote for Hussein Obama, did we?
Nope.
All right, so how in the world are we getting a deal worse than Hussein Obama did in his agreement?
Right.
How's that possible? Because Hussein probably sent him 20, 30 billion. Joe Biden, we know, funneled 20 billion to them right after October 7th. We're sending them 300 billion. But it doesn't count, Tom, because it's not U.S. taxpayer dollars. Does anybody care whether it's taxpayer dollars or not? Which, by the way, if you believe that, got swampland for you to buy right in the back of the church here where there's no swamp. But anyway, so $300 billion. So we torched Iran for 80 to 100 billion, and now we're going to pay him 300 billion to rebuild from the 100 billion we spent destroying them. So we're going to pay over 3 times what it cost us to destroy them to rebuild them. How's that winning going? Man, this is a golden age.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you feel it? Can't you feel the love tonight? The U.S. will work towards. I thought this was the whole point of the war. We're gonna remember, and also I could have done a whole history, but you guys, you've been patient with me. Be redundant. I could put out a whole litany of Trump's Truth Social posts already claiming that some of this stuff was done, and we can all put out the sycophantic. J.D. Vance is doing the show circuit. He's on The View. He's on podcasts, on everything else, claiming, of course, that we're not. The $300 billion is a complete farce. It's not. There was a person on Piers Morgan arguing that that's not in the MOU, and Piers Morgan is reading it to her. Reading it to her, and that's not in there. We're reading it to her, and she tries to backtrack. That's not taxpayer dollars. That's not what we said. It's not. She's saying that we're not giving them 300 billion. Yes, we are. Our agreement. We're the ones that are making this happen.
Right.
We are the one. We are the facilitator. And we are making sure that Iran gets $300 billion. That's on top of the $24 billion that they're already getting in unfrozen assets. And allegedly, they are going to be permanently charging a fee to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That's not outlined in this yet, but it's going to come out. And they'll make $10 billion a year on those fees. $10 billion. So, but don't worry, it won't be spent on armaments. Iran reaffirms. Oh, wait. The U.S. will work toward terminating all types of sanctions against Iran. So not only that, we're going to give them $24 billion by unfreezing their assets, pay them another $300 billion. Probably they're still going to be able to charge people in the Strait of Hormuz, even though Trump's denying it. But allegedly, under the people that I'm listening to, that's not true. They're actually still going to be charging ships going through the strait, and they're going to make $10 billion a year off of that alone. Not to mention the $300 billion, not to mention the $24 billion, which is only the start of the unfrozen assets, because there's tens of billions more of frozen Iranian assets that we're going to give them also. But don't worry, we're going to work toward terminating all types of sanctions against Iran, including UN, including UN, IAEA primary and secondary sanctions. Iran reaffirms that it will not procure or develop nuclear weapons and agrees to address its enriched. They're going to address it. This is what we went to war for. We went to war so Iran can reaffirm, as they already did. By the way, I can pull all that up. They already said that before the war.
Yeah.
So why are we fighting for a reaffirmation of their original reaffirmation, which was another reaffirmation of their original affirmation?
Sure.
Why are we going to war for that? Oh, because we are Israel's dog to their tail. That's why. And people can get mad, and I know people come and go from watching this because you get fed up and you're like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of Tom bashing Trump. I'm not bashing Trump. This is what Trump's doing. Argue with it. Show me. This is the 14-page memo. The 14-point memo. This is it. There is nothing else to discuss. I mean, we're going to discuss other things on the podcast, but there's nothing to discuss here. There's no arguing here. There's nothing you can say about this. It is what it is. Iran reaffirms that it will not produce or develop nuclear weapons and agrees to address its enriched uranium material stockpile, which was already under the IAEA before that. Until a final deal is reached, Iran, we go to war so that we could get to the place of negotiating for a final deal over 60 days. Iran will maintain the status quo of its nuclear program while the U.S. will not. So they're going to, until the final deal, which can be extended, and then, Aaron, extended again, and then extended again. Until the final deal is reached, Iran will maintain its current status quo of a nuclear program. So we went to war to negotiate with them while they continue to enrich uranium. Anybody explain this to me? Explain to me how this is a win? Jack Posobiec saying that Trump should win a Nobel Prize for this lump of human feces. Runny, nasty, smelly, warm human feces. That's what this good agreement is. And by the way, you shouldn't have to. And by the way, don't even get an agreement. Just pull out of there. Just get out. Just get out. Claim you drunk. Do you know what? Just claim that you sunk their Navy and you incapacitated to some degree their nuclear program and get the heck out of Dodge. Until the final deal is reached, Iran will maintain its current status quo of its nuclear program, while the U.S. will impose no new sanctions. So they're going to continue to enrich uranium while we no longer have any sanctions at all. Well, before the war, there were sanctions on them for enriching uranium. That's great. What a deal. So before the war, there were sanctions on Iran for enriching uranium. Now there's none for at least 60 days while they enrich uranium. It's a great deal, isn't it? Who won this war? This is because, folks, we lost. Okay? We lost because, as usual, we chose to lose. And by the way, there's no way to win the war. And all that we did was, you know what we did? People are like, was showing the might of the U.S. military. Do you really think it's the might of the U.S. military that we sunk an Iranian Navy? That really is nothing more than glorified paddle boats. I mean, really? The ships that were built in like 1948. Do you really think that it's, do you think China is sitting back going, wow, that's quite the military performance?
Right.
Do you really think they are? We have about 1.2 million soldiers. Okay, we have no ability to take a country like Iran. None. No ability. 95 million people on the ground. Everyone will fight you to the death. And we have maybe we could put 300,000 soldiers on the ground there. Maybe. I know we have the strongest Air Force. We have the strongest and largest Air Force on the planet, and we have the number 2 strongest, largest Air Force on the planet. Our Air Force, and then our Navy Air Force. Those are the 2 largest Air Force on the planet, and they're great and they're mighty, and they will keep us safe. But we can't conquer countries with that, and we just proved that you can't. And it's not denigrating the great heroes of our military. My dad's career Navy. I'm sitting next to a military hero over here with Will. It's not downgrading the people or denigrating the people that fight in these wars. They fight, they're obeying orders. I get it. But I'm saying that we showed the world that we can't do anything. Iran stipulated all this stuff. We've gained nothing. The Strait isn't open right now, folks. It's still not open. It's Wednesday, about to be Thursday. It's still not open. Do you really think it's ever going to open without Iran charging fees? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe that it's ever going to be that way again? That they're just going to walk away from it? What you have to do is you have to build infrastructure around the Strait of Hormuz, the pipelines. So you no longer need the Strait. That's 25 years away. All right, so anyway, here we go. Number 9, until a final deal is reached, Iran will maintain, I got read that, right? Number 10, the U.S. Treasury will issue waivers for Iranian crude oil, petroleum products, derivatives, and associated banking, insurance, and transportation services. So that's lifting off sanctions. So what did Iran lose? I'll bet you right now, you ever hear the statement, if I would, in football or whatever, you're playing against a great team. If I could be guaranteed that I could be within 3 points 5 minutes to go, I will take that. If Iran knew that they were going to get this deal pre-war, they would have let themselves get bombed. Their navy may be worth $500 million. They're getting $300 billion. That's again on top. That's $10 billion worth of fees they're going to get in the future. Not to mention $24 billion of Iranian assets that have been frozen. The U.S. number 11. The U.S. will make frozen or restricted Iranian funds and assets. They love this, Aaron. Fully available for use. Yes. No constraints. Oh, but they're going to make. We don't even get the usual diatribe that we're going to make sure that it goes for humanitarian reasons, which the Biden administration dropped. Which, of course, is ridiculous because all funds are fungible. So if you have the IRGC, they've got let's say a $4 billion budget per year. And you're like, we're not going to send a dime to them. Well, what they do, so they got the $4 billion going to the IRGC, and then you've got $1 billion going to humanitarian efforts. They just cut $1 billion off of the IRGC and send that into the humanitarian efforts. All funds are fungible. So they can redesignate funds as they see fit. They can just say they can take all of their IRGC money and give it to the humanitarian efforts, or take the humanitarian efforts and give it all to the IRGC, and then we pay for the humanitarian efforts. All funds are fungible, and we're not even playing the game that they're not now. So Iran funds are fungible. So they can redesignate funds as they see fit. They can just say they can take all of their IRGC money and give it to. Name one of these. We're on number 12 now. Name one out of 12. I'm losing viewers as I'm reading this, because again, people come on here and think I'm going to be all pro-Trump. I mean, I'll be pro-Trump when Trump does conservative things. Pending so far as president. Let me see. Number 12, the U.S. and Iran will establish an executive mechanism, oh boy, to monitor implementation of the MOU and future compliance. So we're going to spend more money so we can monitor the MOU. Number 13, after signing the MOU and implementing key ceasefire, blockade, shipping, oil waiver, and asset release provisions, the U.S. and Iran will begin final deal negotiations. So you got number 5. Iran will use its best efforts to ensure safe passage for commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz for 60 days with no charge. So you got that negotiation. And then you got number 13, the U.S. and Iran will begin final negotiations later. This is one negotiation after another. This is Trump sticking his tail hard between his legs and scurrying off, which, by the way, you have no choice but to do that. You don't start a war with a mountainous country right next to a nuclear-powered Pakistan, with nuclear-powered Israel right there. You don't start a war with them when you've got a 95 million populous country that's fully mountainous and everybody's willing to die, and you have a whole bunch of countries like Japan and China that fully and completely depend on their oil. You don't. I mean, how stupid can you be to start this war that you cannot win? How are you going to win? How? You can nuke them. You still don't win if you nuke them. They're going to hide under the mountains. It doesn't do anything. What it is Afghanistan times 1,000,000. Then you go and start a war with them to degrade their nuclear ability that they don't have, which you could easily watch from space. Trump is touting SpaceX today. We all know Elon has now become the first trillionaire because of SpaceX and everything else. You just monitor their enriched uranium from space. And if you decide, you know what, it's getting too close, you can bomb it. Why would you go in war with them? Because people are monetarily benefiting from it. That's why. And all of them are behind it. Trump, Netanyahu, and all the rest of them. The people who don't participate are the ones who aren't benefiting from it. They're benefiting off of the other war in Ukraine right now. Last one. The final deal. The final deal will be endorsed by a binding UN Security Council resolution. Oh, wow.
Goody.
That's why we went to war for 110 days, so 111 days so far. But I guess now it's over, right? All right, let's go to this one. Aaron Rupar video. Ben Shapiro So Ben Shapiro is really mad now because we're no longer bombing girls' schools in Iran. So we're not bombing a girls' school in Iran. He's really upset because Israel, as Trump has been saying now for 2 days, credit Trump, greatness of Trump on this at the G7. Trump has been saying for days now, he's sick and tired of what Israel does in Lebanon, where they're going after Hezbollah, and there's one guy, so they take out an apartment building with 847 people living in it. He's getting sick and tired of it. We're all sick and tired of it. Why in the world are you leveling apocalyptic style a Christian country going after Hezbollah terrorists? Why would you level? We've shown you the videos. They level entire towns for what, 12 Hezbollah operatives inside the town? It's not that they're anti-Hezbollah, they're anti-Christian and anti-Hezbollah. It's simple as that. Of course they're anti-Christian. I mean, didn't they nail Jesus to the cross? Wouldn't that make you anti-Christian and have never repented of that? Aaron, show me all the videos of all the Israelis repenting of nailing Jesus to the cross.
Zero.
Okay, so how in the world, and I would love to present that to, go ahead, invite me to your church. If you have a pastor who waves the fake Star of David flag, invite me to your church because that's how I'll launch. Is it really already 9:30? Yeah. Holy crap. But anyway, I'll launch with that. I want everyone to explain to me why it is that churches bless Israel when they're the ones who nailed their Jesus to the cross and have never repented of it.
Yeah.
If, again, I'll just tell you this, and I know it's redundant for those of you that watch this podcast, if you have a Christian church that is partnering with another Christian church, you have Church A that partners with Church B, and Church B comes out and says, you know what, we're pro-trans now, we're pro that Jesus is a way but not the way, violating John 14:6. We are now like that. Church A would no longer partner with Church B. Well, that's what Israel does, so why are you partnering with them? How does that make sense to anybody? I didn't say we can't partner with them as the only quote-unquote democracy in the region. I don't really buy into that crap either, but I'm just saying you can do it that way. But to spiritually partner with them? Aren't we told in 2 Corinthians 6:14 to not be yoked together with what?
Unbelievers.
What? Unbelievers. Are they believers? Then why are you yoked with them, Mike Huckabee? Why are you yoked with them, Pastor so-and-so and Pastor so-and-so, and you can fill in the names? Why are you yoked together with them? Aren't we told to not be yoked together with unbelievers? For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? Isn't that 2 Corinthians 6:14? Is it not? Aren't we told 3 verses later to come out from among them and be separate, says the Lord? Aren't we? Or am I just misquoting the Bible? Okay, I will never get these people. How are you, Mike Huckabee, allegedly a Baptist Christian? And he comes out and he even said recently the United States wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Israel.
Okay.
And that's what he just said. Recently, everyone's just tearing him a new one, as he deserves. But anyway, Israel didn't even exist when the United States was formed. Who was laughing? 1776, there was no Israel. Why? And Aaron, I'm not going to put you on the spot again, but he knows the answer. Why was there no Israel in 1776? Because they were scattered due to their unrepentant nature.
Yep. Kicked out.
Yeah, they killed all the prophets. And then when the prophet of all prophets came, and I don't mean John the Baptist, he's the greatest of all prophets, but then the prophet of all prophets came, the ultimate purveyor of truth was Jesus came, right? And they nailed him to a cross. And everybody stood around and laughed. So they're scattered by God.
Yep.
Punished by God. And then the Christians come in and partner with the people God is actively punishing? Explain it to me. I mean, I would love to hear the theological explanation behind it. By the way, I never hear a theological explanation. All I ever hear is sycophantical talking points.
Yeah.
I was told that if you don't bless Israel, you won't be blessed. Okay, I want you to actually read Genesis 12. Please read it instead of just quoting it and not even knowing where it is. You need to quote the whole thing, by the way. And it's talking to Abram, not even Abraham yet. All right, back on task. Aaron Rupart video. Ben Shapiro, the MOU appears to be a disaster that does not achieve any of the signal goals. All right, now here's the thing. Can't stand Ben Shapiro. COVID caving, vax whore, sycophant. Okay, an operative for Mossad, he has to be. Okay, so, I mean, I can't stand Ben Shapiro. He is right in what he says here with the 5 points that he makes, but he's right for the wrong reasons. Play it for me.
That said, this MOU appears to be, just from the text, a disaster that does not achieve any of the actual signal goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. There were effectively 5 goals that were set by the administration at the beginning. One was ending the nuclear program, not just nuclear weapons, no nuclear enrichment, zero enrichment. That is not in the deal. Ballistic missiles ended. That is not in the deal. And the president today suggested that ballistic missiles should actually continue to be held by the Iranians because the Saudis, our allies, also hold ballistic missiles. Then you have the support of terrorism. That is not part of the deal. Anything that looks like an attempt to end terrorism. A permanent opening of the Strait of Hormuz toll-free. Not only is that not in the deal appears to have a provision allowing Iran and Oman to attempt to toll the strait after 60 days. And then finally, the idea that Iran would receive some sort of sanctions relief after all of those things happen. We are already seeing from day one relief in their ability to ship oil out of Iran. In my opinion, the Vice President of the United States, the chief negotiator on this particular project, has not well served the president.
So this is a complete and total disaster. Okay, the thing is, but there's no choice. I'm not even faulting Vance for this. It's a complete, here it is, the 14-point plan. It's a disaster. But this is what happens when you engage in wars that you cannot win. You're like, Tom, how dare you say that? Okay, the only way for us to quote unquote win is for us to drop nukes. Would everybody agree with that? Yeah. How are you going to win? How are we going to go in and kill 95 million people? We have a total of 1.2 million soldiers. That's it, folks. I'm not talking about the size of the military with all of its ridiculous, stupid, sycophantic globalist advisors and Israel advisors embedded in the Pentagon. I'm talking about that's how many soldiers we have. How are you going to take Iran? Even if you nuke it, okay, and you put forces down, you can't even put forces down. You're going to get a retaliatory strike from China, Pakistan, Russia, and everybody else. So it's World War III. So again, you can't nuke it, but if you're going to try to use conventional weapons, we can maybe put a ground force on there of maybe 300,000 men against hundreds and hundreds of thousands, millions of IRGC or IRGC related civilians. How are you going to win? How? A war of attrition? How'd that work in Afghanistan? How'd it work in Iraq? Unless you really want to win, you're going to have to drop tactical nukes. You can't win now. And they're going to be getting all sorts of support from various other countries, including tactical nukes from Pakistan. So if you do tactical nukes and you land a ground force there, they're going to get drop tactical nukes on you from Pakistan. It's unwinnable war. So you end up giving them more than what they had pre-war. You know what? This is what Trump had to do. He had no choice. You know why? Because he walked into that meeting with all his posturing and all that crap, all his buffoonery. They grabbed him right by his freaking nutsack. Boom. We got you. Now, we all know as men, and all the men out there just shout hallelujah. You know it's true. You get grabbed by the nutsack. The person who's grabbed you by the nutsack is in charge.
Oh, yeah.
If they've got a clamp on you, ain't punching that person. You ain't doing nothing. They've got you by the nutsack. And they didn't just have him by the nutsack. They had him by the nutsack with pliers. Oh. With one testicle right there. Okay? And there's nothing he could do. They told him to dance. He danced. That is a fact. Because you cannot win this war. And then, by the way, how does Israel, they gain a couple miles every decade? They don't win nothing either. But there's all sorts of people out there that are profiting off of this war. The military-industrial complex, well, all these congressmen and women end up being their advisors from the Atlantic Council. And all the NGOs that come in and rebuild. Because this is fun too. Guess who's going to be doing a lot of this rebuilding?
Who?
American Industries. Oh, like the military-industrial complex. So they get the money for bombing. And then the other parts of the military-industrial complex get the money for rebuilding. And Aaron, yes. I am going to put you on the spot. Who basically owns the military-industrial complex?
That would be BlackRock.
Correct.
Vanguard.
So Larry Fink, Israeli,
yep.
He now gets he gets all the money from the bombing, and he gets all the money from the rebuilding. Isn't this great?
Yes.
If you don't see this, you just don't know what you're talking about. You still want to believe, like I did 6 years ago, that there's white hats and black hats marching around? Go right ahead. Well, all it is liars and truth tellers. That's all that there is. In the truth, of course, we know the truth comes from the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's the only truth.
Amen.
That's it. So that in order for even somebody to be a purveyor of truth, now I'm not saying that people aren't saved, can't tell the truth sometimes, but to be a purveyor of truth, where you are married to the truth, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free, John 8:32. To be a purveyor of the truth, to live in the truth, where you're not Gunther Eagleman or Sean Farish or Cat Turd or Benny Johnson or Eric Doherty, where the truth was before that wars are bad, and then when Trump starts them, war's good. You are not married to the truth. That's why it's 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. They will be all fooled by the great delusion. It's just, they'll believe anything. I've seen it. I thought there was a delineation between right and left. Boy, Aaron, I was wrong. I thought that, you know what? Right-wingers will believe the truth. No, the right-wingers will not believe the truth. They will believe anything a quote-unquote right-winger tells them, even if it's no longer right-wing.
Yep.
Everybody in the village is watching Fox News right now. They're watching 40 minutes into Sean Hannity right now, believing all of that human sewage coming out of Sean's fat face. That's just true. And Ben Shapiro is right, but just for the wrong reasons. Ben Shapiro wants Israel to keep strangely bombing Lebanon since 1973 and gaining nothing. They go in, they bomb, they occupy, they retreat. He wants them to keep doing that, and he wants us to keep indiscriminately bombing Iran, calling them defensive strikes. For what? For what? Why did we not take Karg Island? If you really want to win this war, wouldn't you go in and take Karg Island? Which is where basically all the refineries are, or the refining is done. 90%, 50% of all the oil is refined there. It's right there. It's right in the strait. Why wouldn't you take it? Because we didn't want to win this war. We wanted to go in there and get these 5, what Ben Shapiro calls signal goals. I don't know why he has to talk like that. Who talks like that? These 5 signal goals. We were told nukes are going to be out. Nukes are still there. And by the way, they're doing nothing with the nukes. And as Ben Shapiro said there, and I can't stand the man, I'm just saying, as Ben Shapiro said, didn't I tell you? The Strait, they've got a deal with Oman. It's going to be Iran and Oman running the Strait of Hormuz and tolling every ship that goes through. That wasn't there before the war, so that's what the war's given us.
Yep.
$10 billion more per year going to Iran. Those are all the facts, folks. This is factual material. We were supposed to get rid of their nukes, get rid of their ballistic missiles. Trump is on the tarmac today saying, you know what, it's great that Iran still has ballistic missiles because the Saudis have them. And then Ben Shapiro calls this out, again, right for the wrong reasons. But here's where he's wrong. The Saudis are our allies. The majority of the people that blew up 9/11 were what? That blew up the Twin Towers and the Pentagon and everything else on 9/11 and took down the flight and all that stuff were Saudis, but they're our allies.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, it's all orchestrated by John Brennan, but other than that, and the Israelis. But that's just
move along.
Those are just little details. But anyway. All right, go to the next one for me. Thomas Massey tweet. $3 billion is 5 times as much as Congress spends, $300 billion, on roads and bridges annually. Will's going to love this. Iran gets $300 billion, and we get 5 times less than that for the entire year for our roads and bridges. Okay. I'm tired of winning. The USA undertakes with regional partners to develop a definitive, mutually agreed upon plan with at least $300 billion for the reconstruction and economic development of Iran. There you go. But thank goodness we got rid of Thomas Massey, right? Thank goodness the Israeli lobby and AIPAC spent $32 million getting rid of Thomas Massey. Go next for me. Here's Jack. Best Iran deal that has ever been made. Nobel Peace Prize material for Donald Trump. You want to talk about somebody who receives the strap on.
Oh.
I mean, this is him. Donald Trump straps it on, and Posobiec just bends over and spreads them. Donald Trump doesn't even have to take Posobiec by force. He just says, hey, Jackie, I'm here. I'm strapped in. Bend over and grab your ankles. And now I actually do mean that sexually. And that's what, how does Jack Posobiec go home to his wife and his children and say, I'm a man of integrity? How? How do you write this? I mean, it's Jack Goebbels Posobiec, Jack Tokyo Rose Posobiec, Jack Pravda Posobiec. Mockingbird Posobiec. What a pathetic human being he turned out to be. Speaking of pathetic human beings, go to the next for me. Here's another one. Gunther Eagleman, just in President Trump's team, and Iran just signed the deal to end the war. Yeah. Memorandum of Understanding locked in. Strait of Hormuz traffic resuming. Has it?
Nope.
No. Iran officially stays non-nuclear.
No.
Have they? No. Is America and America's back in control of the Middle East?
Oh my gosh. A retard.
Okay. Aaron can't help. Aaron doesn't usually chime in much. He can't help it. Feel free.
Yeah.
It helps me. I mean, Iran is officially non-nuclear. Number 5 of the MOU. Iran will use its best efforts to. No, that's not the right one. Let me see. Let me see. I'm fine. I know this is boring podcast crap, but I mean, I got to do it. Iran reaffirms that it will not procure or develop nuclear weapons and agrees to address its enriched material stockpile under an IAEA supervision. How are they non-nuclear? They're still nuclear. The materials are right there, and they're just looking to do what they've been doing with the IAEA for decades now, which is basically having pseudo inspections while they build enriched uranium under a mountain that nobody's inspecting.
Yep.
I got to find that one part. I can't find it, but anyway, it certainly is not any of those things. But it's in there. Read it all. Read it all when you can. No more weakness. This is the entire 14 points are all weakness. No more endless wars. 110 days worth of war. Trump delivers peace through strength, like only he can. Again, Trump he must have a harem of these Trump sycophantic, hairy-butted, butt cheek spread morons that he's just railing. I mean, I don't know how you live like this. Is this any of what Gunther Eagleman said the truth? Anything of what I read to you, all 14 points of the MOU? Not one thing he says is true. Not one thing Posobiec says is true. All right, off of Iran, let's change the subject. Let's have some fun. ABC News tweet. This is glorious. This is from today. The scientists have been right about climate change all along, says former Vice President Al Gore on the 20th anniversary of the release of The Inconvenient Truth. Everybody remember that? The Oscar-winning, so just spewing, regurgitating, vomiting pure lies. Put it, as Aaron would put it, diarrheaing pure lies. That gets you an Oscar.
Yeah.
It's just pure lies. About Gore's campaign to educate people about climate change that doesn't exist. So here's the thing, from I.O. on Twitter. Here, among the many claims Al Gore got wrong or grossly overstated were an imminent 20-foot sea level rise. Never happened. But yet, what does he say? And by the way, all these MAGA sycophants are no different. Yeah. They're no different. What does he say? The scientists have been right about climate change all along, says Al Gore. Iran, according to Gunther Eagleman, is non-nuclear, and Trump has put forth the greatest peace deal ever. The strait is open, none of which is true. No charge when you go through the strait, not true. None of it is true. Gunther Eagleman, I'm sure, and so is Sean Ferris and everybody else, I'm sure they've been, I don't know if they have or not, but I'm sure them or their ilk have been saying probably the entire time, there's no $300 billion going. $300 billion is going to Iran. So you're no different than Al Gore. You're no different. The only difference is you know that Al Gore's lying, and since he's a Democrat, you'll call him a liar. But when Trump lies and his MOU's a lie and Vance is lying because they're saying it, you will now espouse that a truth is a lie or a lie is the truth. You're disgusting. You're a repulsive human being. You stand on that which is true, period. Unequivocally, you stand on the truth. That's it. What's true. And if you don't know what the truth is, you be still and know that he's God, and God will reveal to you what's true. So here's Al Gore. The eminent, remember, again, just leave this up for me so I can keep reading that line over and over again. The scientists have been right about climate change all along, says Vice President Al Gore on the 20th anniversary of The Inconvenient Truth. Here's what Al Gore got wrong. An eminent 20-foot sea level rise has never happened. He said that it was going to happen 20 years ago. It never happened. The disappearance of snow on Mount Kilimanjaro never happened. Polar bears drowning in significant numbers. They've never drowned in any numbers. Hurricane Katrina was a direct result of warming. It certainly was not. Because hurricanes, we have the exact same amount of hurricanes as we do every year. Nothing's changed. Just like here, Aaron, this is a bold prediction.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Sometime around, it's June right now, middle of June.
Yep.
And so we got all of July, we got all of August, all of September. It's going to be hot as balls around here. Okay.
Yeah.
But sometime in October, Will's going to go outside. He's going to be going back. He'll be teaching. He'll be going back to school. And he'll get out in his car. Aaron and I will still be sleeping, but Will has to get up early. So Will will go out because he's a teacher. And he'll get out and go in his car. And whoop, there's a nip in the air.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's a 68-degree day. Morning. And that's how it all starts. You know how often that's happened? Every freaking year I've lived in the state of Florida. And I've lived here since 1980.
Bold prediction.
It's a bold prediction. But sometime in October, that's what's going to happen. And it happened even after The Inconvenient Truth came out. Same year The Inconvenient Truth came out in 2006, that nip in the air came in October. And it came out the same in 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, and 26. And I can guarantee it'll happen in 27.
Wow.
See, I mean, Aaron, I'm a soothsaying
I
son of
know.
a gun, aren't I? I'm a prophet,
Yeah.
right? All right, here we go. Number 5, an influx of fresh meltwater from Greenland could completely halt the Gulf Stream, potentially plunging northern Europe into a sudden ice age. That never happened.
I'm sure.
The drying of Lake Chad was entirely due to global warming. That had nothing to do with it. Rising carbon dioxide levels historically directly caused the Earth's temperature to rise in a cause and effect relationship. CO2 in the atmosphere, it's all been publicly revealed now, is 0.03% of the atmosphere, and it's never changed. Oh, and you know what it was in 2006? 0.03%. You know what it is now with all the increase of smoke going in the air? 0.03%. Because God knows how to build a planet. Glacier National Park, of which I visited in 2017, would lose all or nearly all its glaciers soon. Okay, now I visited it 11 years after it predicted. You know what I took a picture of? It's glacier. Still there.
Wow.
In the same size that it always is. As a matter of fact, they were trying to mark it to see where it would continue to decrease every year, and it never did. Arctic summer sea ice could disappear very soon. Never did. 20 years later, still the same or more. Low-lying Pacific atolls and islands were currently being inundated now, causing evacuations due to warming. That never happened, and it hasn't happened since. And imagine this guy still goes and makes money preaching this. It still makes money. This is the idiocy that we should be concentrating on. But instead of doing this, I have to concentrate on a 14-point sewage fest MOU put out by our alleged conservative president in a war that our conservative president waged when he said we're going to have no new wars. While we have no mass deportations, no wall being built, hyperinflation. We had all that during Biden, by the way, but he did secure the border. Greatness of Trump. All right, let me see. Last couple. Increased frequency and severity of floods, wildfires, tornadoes, and general extreme weather directly are tied to the warming and had nothing to do with the climate activists going around with blowtorches and lighting forests on fire.
Right.
Which they were documented over and over again doing. Or Gavin Newsom's and Karen Bass's extreme incompetence allowing dry foliage to lay against power poles that were built in 1951.
And no water.
And no water. And Dre makes sure that the one lake that you need for fire prevention and to put out fires is emptied. Same thing with Lahaina, by the way. All their water sources was shut off too. And then they told everybody to go back into the town that was on fire. So people ended up having to go out to the beach and sit in the waves. All run by Democrats. And that's what we should be fighting. Because, by the way, Helena has never been rebuilt, neither has Palisades. Still burnt to the ground, nothing. 14,000 homes in the Palisades, burnt to the ground. Like 10 maybe have been rebuilt. And I'm just making that number up, but it is along those lines. All right, last one. Himalayan glaciers melting rapidly and will soon lead to depletion of water supplies. How's our water supply doing? How's everybody's water supply doing? Perfectly fine.
Doing great.
Not one thing happened. All right, speaking of totalitarianism, let's go to the UK. Oh, side by side that. Let's go to this guy's UK. It actually doesn't address in what appears to be a 1970s sweatsuit. MJ Truth Ultra video. Tyranny, while foreign invaders he let in are raping, and then he covered it when he was in charge of the CPU Child Protection Unit. He covered Islamic rape gangs for decades. That's who Pierce Starmer is. Refusing to prosecute Pakistani Islamic rapists who were raping UK underage girls. He refused to do anything about it. And they still are, by the way, because they're run by the Labour Party. And the Tories are about as useful as Lindsey Graham. All right, while foreign invaders he let in are raping and murdering children, the PM, Keir Starmer, announces the UK is restricting access to social media. So, for anyone under the age of 16. So he's not going to protect you from being anally raped by 14 Pakistani men, but he will keep you from joining Facebook. Play it for me.
Every parent wants the best for their kids. And that's what being a parent means. And for me, for my 2 kids, all I've ever wanted, hand on heart, is for them to be safe and for them to be happy. And the rest is up to them. But you know, I think back to when I was growing up, and I have to say, I think we had it easier. These days, kids have to find their feet in a world that changes so quickly, where technology intrudes into every area of their lives. And we know that harms them. The response from parents in the consultation has been absolutely clear. Thousands of parents say their children are addicted to social media. It can leave them trapped in a cycle of endless scrolling that displaces play, sleep, and time with the family. It can harm their mental health. And frankly, parents need our support on this. That is why today, the government has decided to ban social media access for children under 16. It's a big step for our country. Now, it's not an easy thing to do. I'll be honest about that. We haven't rushed into it. We've looked carefully.
I can't take it anymore. But anyway, so it's hysterical. Parents are complaining that their kids are addicted to social media. Well, you know what I did? Didn't let my kids on social media.
Yep.
Aaron, when your son, when he turns 10, is he going to be addicted to Twitter?
No.
Okay, there you go. He's not even going to have a phone.
No.
Okay, that's how it is. I mean, if you want to give your kids, what do you call them, a flip phone, dial-up phone, whatever, okay, for emergencies, fine. But no access to the internet? Okay, my kids weren't allowed to drive till they were 18. I had Christians tell me, you'll never be able to pull that off. How would I not pull it off?
Right.
Yeah, I looked at my son's name is Tommy. My daughter's name is Norma. Hey, Tommy, Norma, you're not driving until you're 18. Okay. And then by the time they got to 18, they weren't even interested in driving. They had forced them to go get their licenses. So, I mean, again, this is all crap. So parents are complaining, well, don't put your kid on the internet. So because you can't control your kid, you want totalitarian control of the internet. Tom, it's just an age requirement. There's age requirements going into bars too. Now, but here's the problem. Now you have to prove who you are. Me as a 57-year-old man, I have to prove who I am to go on the internet now. Again, you haven't said it for a while. It's been a couple weeks since I've said it. What is this all about? Every war that you see, the World Economic Forum, COVID, climate change is to leverage you into a one world commerce system with a singular access point controlled by people like Keir Starmer. Singular access into all commerce. What's happening now? Let me ask you this question. Those of you who are watching right now. How much do you order on the internet? I don't do anything. I order everything on the internet. I asked Aaron to do me a favor and set me up on Apple TV. I didn't even know that's what it was, but that's what Aaron knew what he had to do because I wanted to be able to project my stuff onto my TV in my office. So I needed what do you call it, Aaron? Apple TV?
Apple TV.
Yeah. Apple TV. Yeah, what do you call the device itself? An Apple TV.
That's what it is.
A monitor or something. But anyway, so he has to hook up Apple TV to my TV. And Aaron goes, I'll stop and get it at Walmart. I said, nah, order it. He said, it's on my way home. I'll just stop in a Walmart. I'm like, okay, well, you can order if you want. Well, yeah, I don't do anything. I order everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm bad. I mean, I'm maybe you can call. I'm not. I don't think it's hypocritical. I don't know yet. But here's the problem: is eventually you will not be able to enter a store without being basically on the internet. All right, that's how it is. You will have to have a digital ID. So now what they do is, this isn't for kids. This has got nothing. You think Keir Starmer, if he's so concerned about safety, why does he let all the UK kids get raped? Why does he import rapists that rape exclusively underage girls? Why? Why would he do that if he's so concerned about their safety? He's not concerned about their safety at all. What he wants is for every UK citizen to now have to prove who they are. And then you have a digital ID, a digital footprint. And you will have to have a digital ID to enter into commerce. And by the way, eventually you're like, well, yeah, but that's just because you're ordering from Amazon. Eventually, understand, I want you to picture this. Please picture this correctly. Eventually, everything will be the internet, even things that you go into the store to get. You'll go in the store to get them, but you'll be using a digital ID that's run by data centers, which is all the internet. This is what this is all about. Even when you're not on the internet and you're going into Target to go buy something, it'll be on a rack. You don't need to go to a cashier anymore. You'll simply have your phone and you will swipe it. It's all internet. And then eventually, once it's all internet, that's a singular access point to all commerce. And Keir Starmer is now leveraging everybody into a one world commerce system with a singular access point. Well, you will have to have a digital ID to buy, sell, trade, or travel. Well, you're like, you know what? Thank goodness that's over at the UK. And this right now hurts me when I'm about to show you. No, it's not, because we're doing the same thing here in the state of Florida. MJ Truth Ultra video. If Americans are upset with Keir Starmer, why aren't you upset with Florida AG James Uthmeyer? Because he's a Republican. We're a Republican good. Even when Republicans do bad, they're good. No, I like James Uthmeyer. I do. But now, because right-wingers can become totalitarian.
Yep.
They can become totalitarian, but it's like law and order, law and order. You end up with a Minority Report situation going on. So freedom is freedom. If a right-winger takes away freedom, it's still freedom that's being taken away. And here's an example of it. Play it for me.
Will you tell the parents to delete TikTok from their kids' phones? Look, parents have tough decisions to make. I do think parents need to reevaluate what is the appropriate age to give your kid a cell phone where they have the internet at their fingertips. When I was 15, 16 years old, that didn't exist yet. So today, you see kids now, and I know, my 5-year-old daughter is so smart and so cute and so persuasive. It's hard for me to say no to her. I can only imagine what it's like when suddenly she's 13 or 14 and all the other kids have them. So that is a tough decision to make. I'll tell you this, she's not getting a phone at 14 or 15 years old. No way. TikTok, very, very dangerous. We see a lot of predatorial activity there, a lot of pornography that's still on the site. We're working to hold them accountable. We have a recently passed piece of legislation, SB 3, that says under 14, it's illegal for these social media sites to let them on. 14 to 16, you can have access, but only after explicit parental approval. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld that law. It is the law of the land. We're giving companies, really until another 30 days from now to get straight with regard to the under 14, 60 days to ensure parental consent is in place, and then we will begin filing lawsuits as fast as you can.
And Aaron brought up a real good point, because what they did initially is they put the age, or this is the same age requirement that Keir Starmer's doing. But he's doing it, and all the Republicans, oh, how dare Keir Starmer? What about Uthmeyer? And by the way, you don't get much more conservative than James Uthmeyer. He's a really good AG. Yes. This is just a horrendous mistake. He is becoming a totalitarian as a right-winger. Because they'll do a right-wing thing, pseudo right-wing thing, like, you have to have age verification to get onto porn. Okay, I can agree with that. Age verification to get onto porn. Okay. But now that doesn't catch enough fish. So now, and doesn't get enough people into the system. So now what you do is you make it age verification for every social media platform. Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and now you have to have age verification. All right. Again, you can actually have a cognitive thought process. You can actually delineate. You can actually go case by case. You can actually do that because you can say, you need to have age verification to get into porn. All right. But you don't have to have age verification to get on the entire internet. Or to order from Amazon. That's all coming, by the way. And it's not age verification. It's digitally IDing you. So what happens is, well, that's okay. I'll just shop and I'll use cash. How much longer do you think that's going to last?
Yeah.
How many of you even use cash now very often? I don't use it very often. I'm not saying this because I'm not part of the system. I'm not part of the world system in that I agree with it. But I conduct business with it. Most of my banking is digital banking. It is. I mean, I rarely ever spend any cash, ever. Okay, so I mean, I get it. But I'm just saying how much longer. I mean, again, the ultimate example is Australia. Well, they're saying right now they have a biometric ID. But again, I always like to use Aaron, but don't worry, Aaron.
Yeah.
It's voluntary.
Oh, of
Only
course.
problem is that once 100% of the companies require you to have it, it's no longer voluntary, but it is, you can voluntarily still not do it, but you'll just die of starvation.
Right.
Because you won't be able to buy food. And that's how it is, because now in Australia, you have to have a written explanation to withdraw $600 out of your bank account of cash. They're eliminating cash completely in Australia. So eventually it becomes where everything is digitized and you have to have a biometric ID to use all of the digital technology to access it, right? Well, that's exactly what's happening here. They get everybody to where, again, because everything will be the internet. People think that something in person is not the internet. That you go buy a drink at 7-Eleven. Eventually, it's all internet. There's no more cash. Then who's running the non-cash? The internet. All the internet banking systems. Everything. It's all the internet. So eventually, when it gets to that place where you just go to 7-Eleven, there's no clerk there, and you open up the cooler with a digital ID, and you pay for gas with a digital ID. It's not even a debit card anymore. They can just shut it off. And that's the point of all of this, to make it so it is impossible to conduct business without the approval of government. All right, go to the next one. Polymarket tweet. Just in, UK clarifies adults will still be able to use social media by verifying their identities.
There it is.
With digital IDs. Who just told you that? Big Tommy just told you that. Facial recognition, passports, and credit cards.
Oh, my God.
That's the point of it all. You need to read the book of Revelation, chapter 13 and 14. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead. And that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark of the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. Revelation 13, 16, 17, and 18. And a third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if anyone worships the beast in his image and receives his mark on their forehead or on his hand, he himself shall also drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is being poured out full strength into the cup of his indignation. He shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels, in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. Whoever receives the mark of the beast and his image. There you go. This is what this is all about, folks. Leveraging you into one world commerce system. And you got Billy Gates working with Gavi MasterCard to create quantum dot tattoo technology. That is just a swipe on your skin. You just have a innocent little tattoo.
Yeah.
Digitized tattoo on your hand.
Convenient.
Yeah, very convenient. It probably would go on your right hand or forehead. Right? Doesn't mean necessarily that it's visible. Yeah. You think the book of Revelation is not going to happen? And the smoke of their torment ascends forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night. Whoever receives the mark of the beast in his image. I mean, again, come on. That's what it's all about. All right, go to the next one. Top 10 countries by reported arrest for online social media posts. Number 1 on the planet, Great Britain, the democracy. So they're sending billions of their dollars to fight for democracy in Ukraine against Russia. Look at Russia on the list. Russia does 400 a year. I mean, you have to think of the galactic idiocy of it all, of all these people. And now, sadly, including Donald Trump. Everybody's going and fighting for democracy in Ukraine. We spent $350 billion in Ukraine. And now we're giving $300 billion to rebuild Iran after we spent $80 billion bombing it. So we're going to spend $380 to $400 billion bombing and rebuilding Iran. After we spent $350 billion sending munitions to Ukraine to fight for democracy with the UK as our partner, when the UK is not a democracy, Ukraine's not a democracy, and Russia only arrests 400 people per year for social media posts, and the UK arrests 12.1 thousand. Next up is Belarus. What the heck is going on with Belarus? Then Germany. Germany's horrible. They're terrible. They're full-scale Gestapo. You get arrested for posting about your rape in the UK, but you don't get arrested for the rape. You get sentenced to Harrow Gate in UK if you post about your rape, and you get an ankle monitor if you're the rapist and set free to rape again.
Yeah.
We don't even make the list, thank God. That's a good thing. Amen? Yeah, real good thing. All right. I can't get into the rest of this, otherwise I'm just going to go on. I'm just trying. I got like 2 minutes. Let's see, because I like to try to finish. But I'm trying to finish on something easy. If I get into the Bill Pulte stuff, it'll take me an hour. Yeah, it'll take me an hour. All right, 10:08. That's good. There's too many things. I've got stuff on the FDA. I've got stuff on the Pulte stuff. I've got Newsom versus the DOJ in California. Hey, we'll finish. Hey, Will, go all the way down to that Libs of TikTok tweet with the Julie Arnold thing. If you can find that's way there. You go. Put that up there. Here's where we'll finish. I just want to give you this good news. Breaking update: Julie Arnold, a male pretending to be a girl, this is from yesterday, stole the first place medal at the girls' state shot put championship in New York. He is now the top thrower in the girls' division in New York State. A male is now the #1 female thrower in New York State. This is the stuff we should be fighting. We should be fighting this stuff instead of having to regurgitate a 15-point MOU for a ridiculous war. We shouldn't be fighting the Iranians. We should be fighting this political war in the United States. Right here, right now. We got plenty of enemies here to fight. Plenty of them. Politically, not violently. All right, that'll be good. All right, what do we got for rants?
We got one.
We got one rant. It's got to be Jules.
Yep.
Jules, 21 hours. I can just go ahead. Jewel, you are now the matriarch of the rant. You are the queen of the rant. You can even rename yourself that. All right, what do we got?
Jules 21ARs donated $10. Shout out to my brother Rob for taking on 29 Palms MC log command today. OOH raw.
Okay, that has to be a military thing. Will knows.
Yeah.
What do you got, Will?
California.
What does that mean?
Military base out there.
What does that mean, though? What does she? You know,
I think he's taking a command spot out there.
Oh, okay, taking a command spot. Well, congratulations to one of our heroes. Love the military. Raised in the military. I want us to win the war. Okay, the pure military, we did win the war. Okay, they could not compete with our military for sure. I love the military. It's just a sad thing when it gets misused at Israel's command. But anyway, all right, I love you guys. Back here tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Stick around for the post game. It's awesome. It's funny. I don't think there's any politics in it at all. It's just funny stuff. Well, there's a little politics at the end with JP Sears. But anyway, love you guys. Back here tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. God bless you.
Bradley Cooper co-wrote, produced, directed, and starred in A Star Is Born.
Haven't seen it.
Are you hoping that will open doors for other hot idiots? Such a good question. So sorry.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Let's take that one back.
And we had this young woman, heroic young woman, Malala, on the show. And known the world over, not big in North America. Now, I can tell by that look that you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Who?
Adam Carolla, is that who you said? That's why I have this look on my face.
Wow.
If you didn't have an accent, do you think people would be able to tell that you're not a very good actor? Please keep going. I read online that you're very private and declined to answer questions that make you feel uncomfortable. This is a two-parter. Is that true? And how old were you when you got your period? Do you ever go to the DMZ?
No.
It's a combination of TMZ and the DMV.
That's just a bunch of people sitting around talking about their driver's license.
Talking about celebrity driver's license. Oh my gosh, she's got a C class in hers.
Oh. James Franco wears corrective lenses.
You used to live in your car.
Yeah.
Is it as fun as it sounds, or is there a downside? Would you say that your work in La La Land really helped pave the way for white people to explain jazz to black people? All right, let me get that out. Sorry, you guys. We'll be right back with Who Gives a Shit. I mean, What did you read something last night and were so eager to come tell a bunch of young people about what you read?
Yes, I did. I did do a lot of reading.
When you and Woody Harrelson are acting in a scene together, are you sad that somewhere there's a sack not being hacky?
That's good. A sack not being hacky.
What was the marijuana budget on True Detective? And have you smoked a lot of that budget today?
Oh, shit.
You know a guy that has a Tesla?
Mm-hmm.
I won the EGOT.
Hmm?
You know what an EGOT is?
No. Oh, an EGOT. Stupid.
It's amazing that this is even a thing.
An EGOT? Or this thing?
This. I wasn't talking about the EGOT. I was talking about this. Exactly. There's a kid on the Disney Channel, Chad, Fart House. He's in one of the Wizards of Waverly Place. Your face.
How does anybody do this?
Your
Sorry.
face is not helping. Do you hear that?
No, I don't hear anything.
That is the sound of everybody talking about your performance in Big Little Lies. No one cares. So mean. Your parents got divorced when you were 7. Was that your fault? Guess why? They named their daughter after a fucking piece of cheese. Again, I'd like to thank Crystal Meth Santa Claus for being here.
Hey, up here. Yuki, here. Come on, up here. Good boy. Come up. Get up here. Good boy. Good boy, buddy. Holy fuck.
700, you're attempting DVI.
Shots fired! Jeff, shots fired.
Copy, shots fired.
Shots fired.
247, 1345.
Shots fired! He shot at me! I don't know yet. Hey! Get him behind the car now! You okay? Yep. Dude, we won the war! The war is over! Peace deal! Yeah. You were saying this war was stupid the whole time, but you can suck it because we won! Oh, you think we won? Yes, you Jew-hating numbskull! Well, how'd we win? We have a peace deal, bitch! So, what did we win? We won, like, the victory. Trump got us across the goal line. Do you know the terms of the peace deal? Yeah, like the Strait of Alex Hormozy. That's open again. Did you know that was open before the war started? So we got that open again. That's a big W right there. And did you know that part of the peace deal is Iran can start charging a toll for ships to go through now? They were probably doing that before the war. No, they weren't. And this new toll revenue is estimated to generate $10 billion a year for them. Who cares? Nobody cares. Well, whatever made you want to start the war with Iran, now they'll have an additional $10 billion a year to fund that. Dude, whatever, it's totally worth it for us to walk away the winners, because with this peace deal, Iran can't have nukes. Do you know they didn't have nukes before the war either? Nope. That's why we went to war. And them not being able to have nukes anymore, that makes the whole war worth it, just for that. The director of national intelligence reported that all of the intel agencies said Iran didn't have nukes. So yeah, now they don't have nukes for real. We won. So according to you, them not having nukes like they didn't have before the war, and the strait that was open before the war that only closed because of the war being open again constitutes us winning? Is that what you're saying? It's winning big time. It's full circle victory.
This podcast is all about. We talk about a lot of political things, but underneath all of that is the Bible. I am unapologetically 100% in favor of is the Bible. Jesus is the Word. There is no delineation. If the Bible says it, that's what Jesus is, and that's what Jesus believes. That's what this podcast is actually about, is to actually alert people to what is coming and what is our responsibility in the midst of it.